for Monday, man. Just trying to get in here and get some content to you. Some things have been just heavy on my mind in the since the last time I talked to you, and some of us want to give a shout out to our Cowboy Nation to see what they to figure out where time in the period where we at in this start of this 2026 25 26 season, where we at, where we stand in our preparation and what's going on, and to give you some insights of how I see things. um I'm learning new things. I'm going to be trying to share some screens up here because I'm gonna start doing that a little bit more, because I'm gonna start sharing screens with from my stuff that I come up with, so I can start sharing. And then we're gonna build into getting music and some good music. Got some people working on some original tunes for me that I ain't gonna worry about no copyright. That that there are gonna be some nice tones that we're gonna be able to use on my show. But let's get right to it, because we want to get in out the way, because I got my other content creators that I like. They're coming on, and they're coming on a little in the shortly. So we want to try to get in so I can watch them, and I want y'all to tune in and watch those guys as well, because I'm gonna watch them. Um, I like to recommend everybody who's that's coming in on the chat, um, and what's going on with you, and how you doing. Appreciate you coming in and enjoying this content. So let's get right to it. There's two things I want to talk about when we talk about this culture. Um, this culture that that Schottenheimer is trying to start here. We are hearing that word all over the place, about culture and about um, what he's trying to put in. Um, we've heard um, Michael Irvin on, if you watch my last video. um, Michael Irvin, you know, really put it out there. And it was some of the things I've said in my previous 2 3 videos. Um, Talent is one thing, and I know a lot of us want to go keep searching for talent and try to over talent uh, um, the actual thing with heart and determination. Michael Irvin spoke of it very clearly. He said, "Hey man, the talent factor between between teams in the NFL is very small. It's not we think it is, but it's basically come down who could be under pressure and who can really perform." And it goes back to my five. If you go back to 2 videos before, I think B Bird's in the house. I really appreciate them being in the house. Um, Jay and all everybody else who's in the house, Jay, T Smooth, all y'all in the house, and appreciate you. But it goes back to my five. My first showing was talking about the culture, about building the culture, and if you go into my playlist, and you go back to that first video when it talked about building a new culture, you're gonna see where I broke that down for 5 things that I got that's gonna be a part of um a true culture. There's those 5 things that I say, the 5 building blocks of building a culture. And then in that video, I also talked about how teams looked at us last year, and asked the question, when I broke that down, how you felt the teams looked at us. And if you're not, let me share this and see if I can get this. My first sharing a screen here, and I talked about this, and I hope you can, hope y'all guys in the chat um can see what I'm sharing there. If you can see it, please put in the chat. Say, hey, coach, we can see it. We can see it. What you got there? put in the chat if you can see, you know, if you can see what we got here. And if you can see it pretty good, that means I've gotten to another level of stuff I can do. So if you're in the chat, just let me know if you can see the little presentation we got here that I got here showing. And this was my first one of my first shows that I talked about. This is what we've been talking about. Everybody's been talking about the culture. And I talked about this about 3 weeks ago. I talked about my 5 building blocks to a new culture / identity in Dallas. And I said, this is what Schottenheimer has to work on to build this team. And the reason why we keep going back over this because we're seeing this right in front of our eyes. And if you don't believe it, listen, go back and watch my playlist. Go back and watch one of my first couple of videos when I talked about culture. I talked about it because my experience tells me these 5 components. When he talks about he wants to have a world famous culture, he has to have these 5 components: physicality, discipline, mental toughness, coaching / leadership, and with talent. Yes, they have added some talent. Yes, they have added some draft talent. You're in the NFL, you might not be able to add everybody. You're gonna have to coach some people up. And sometimes you're gonna see some talent that other people don't see that you need to get out to the point of expressing. But if you think about this team, Michael Irvin talked about my last talk, he talked about mental toughness. That's all he was talking about. This team being mental and tough, and that talked about why did they brought the veterans and the teams that won championships back to the star and put them in a big room to talk and for this team to see, because some of these guys ain't never seen champions, but they brought them there to show them that, hey, you always been on the sun. You always been on front stage. And these guys that's here, those guys there, they learn how to be on the front stage and continue to keep winning. Because the main thing was the main thing. So these 5 things, you're going to hear me touch on these all during this time. Because why? We're getting close to the thing that builds your culture the most. And know what that is? Training camp. That's what's going to build. Listen, we're now in the beginning stages of setting the seeds. If you look at my title of this, all this now is Schottenheimer trying to put the seeds on the ground, put the seeds down to start the building of a culture. Now, everybody out there who says, oh man, it's another culture within 2 or 3 weeks, within 3 or 4 months. It doesn't happen that way, people. Are we saying, oh, well, this is a wasted season? Coach saying you can't do it in 3 or 4 months. So how is he going to do it to have this team ready? You can't be. When he talking about having a world-class #1 culture, it's not built in no 2 or 3 weeks. Now, can he have enough culture in this team to get this team to a championship or get this team to play well? Yes. But there's going to be some rough spots when you're trying to change culture. Let's say this. Coach always like to do analogies. I love to do analogies. If you went and you said, okay, you went to you had some let's say you had a nephew or a niece to come live with you, and they've been outright just running the streets, very bad kids. You think when you get them there that you're going to change them to mold them into what you really want them to do or the discipline they want you to do in 2 or 3 weeks? No. But the first thing that's going to find out is they're going to try you and keep trying you. At first, it may be okay. They may do a lot of stuff you said, but they're going to try you, and they got to try to build trust with you and respect. Remember when I talked about that? Coaching, most important 2 words in coaching is, it is not X and O's. I know some of y'all think X and O's and running plays, and the 2 most important things in coaching is trust and respect. That's trust and respect from your ownership, from your bosses, trust and respect from your assistant coaches, and trust and respect from your players. Because if they trust you and respect you, they ain't necessarily gotta like you. Some of them might not never love you. But one thing about it, they trust you and they may not like how you say things, or they might not like what, but if they trust that you are going to be straight what you say, and they respect that you're trying to get the best out of them, and your objective is to win for them to be good, they'll run through a wall for you. I hear people talking about coach. They say people run through your wall because they love their coach. They'll run through a wall to a certain extent. Yeah, they'll do that. But if they truly love them and it's not that much respect, guess what's going to happen? There's going to become a time when they're not going to do something because they don't feel that you ain't going to be tough on them. Think about it. I might get in trouble when I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. The Crips and the Bloods, biggest rivalry, gang rivalry is. I guarantee you the 2 heads of the Crips and the Bloods trust and respect this. They trust what the other guy's going to do, he going to say he going to do. They might not like trust that what he going to say he going to do. And there's a level of respect there as well. And that sometimes keep them out of conflict in certain points because of that trust and respect. That's what you want. The love and the like and love will come later. The admiration will come later. But right now, in the building blocks of this culture, he just putting the seeds down to build a trust and to build a respect that he's the leader of this team. And he's doing a damn good job at the beginning. But this is just seeds. And when you put seeds down on the ground for anything, they got to get watered. And then they got to start grow. You got to get water, you got to get sunlight, then they got to grow. But we will not know. Right now, we cannot say it's being put in place. And guess what else? Cowboy Nation, let's be patient. And I know I'm telling a person to be patient that ain't 8 and 30 years, and I'm telling you to wait for the food to be all on the table before you dig in. I know that's tough. But if you want it right, you got to be patient. Now, am I saying that that's gonna this season is gone? We got wait 2 or 3 years? No, I think. Listen, I think it's enough structure here that needs to be fine tuned to get where you got to get to. But this culture he's putting in, folks, it's going to be tested. I don't know if I should be able to, I wish I had that Twitter. I should have went and did that too, found that Twitter post. And I think Lou Takes is in here. Man, he had said something, because he had said something about, do some of the players, are some of the players going to be able to fit the new culture? And I remember posting that back, something about that back when Mike Zimmer was coming in here, and I was talking about he was trying to change people. I know that from past experience. When you come in as a new person trying to change how the people think and how they move and how they do things and how they focus on things, you're going to find out that there's going to be some players that people think are good, that people that Cowboy Nation think are building blocks to this team, or not building blocks, not stars, but guys that they think they can really contribute. And you're going to find out those guys, some guys are not built for the change, or some guys are not going to allow themselves to be a part of the change. Some of these guys are not built for the change, and some of these guys are not going to allow themselves to be a part of the change. And as a coach, and Schottenheimer's really biggest concern, if he wants to have anything from the Joneses, which he got a lot of leeway now, he's got a lot of rope because he's new. And I don't care what y'all say, new guys, they gave them the most rope. They gave McCarthy the most rope in the beginning. That's why he had this horrible coaching staff. Then they say, well, hey, you can't do it. Then we're going to try to rein you in. And the more and more I think about it, I don't even think the Joneses pushed Kellen Moore and McCarthy. I think that was a smoke screen by McCarthy. But anyway, let's go get on what I'm saying. The biggest thing he should ask from the Joneses now is, Jerry, Steven, let me find the imposters. Let my coaching staff find the imposters. And let's weed out the imposters. If I can do that, this culture will be built faster. But if I have to continue to hold on to people who are not built for the change or not willing to be a part of the change, it's going to take a lot longer. So, putting seeds on the ground, you still got to get water, and it still got to get sunlight. You still got to cultivate these seeds. And that's what minicamp does. OTAs do. OTAs do. Could we get to training camp? Oh, we tilling the ground in. They do the season in the ground, and we rocking and rolling. But you got to be patient, Cowboy Nation. And then somebody say Rome wasn't built in a day. Culture is not built in 3 weeks. But the start is. Now, when is this going to be tested? How is it going to be tested? We talked about players going to test it. Yes, you're going to have players that are going to test the culture. Then you're going to have situations of adversity and situations of success that's going to test your culture. Hey, man, y'all learn some. Hey, y'all learn the thinking process of stuff I done been through, done played through, done coached through, and done seen. It's not only just in football. You could be coach baseball, which I coach baseball. You can coach basketball, which I coach basketball. You could be a manager at a job. All these things, when you're trying to change the mindset of thinking and how things go, these things gonna pop up. You're gonna be tested by members, and you're gonna be tested by situations. What does Schottenheimer do when he's trying to set a culture of physicality, trying to put a scheme in that fits his players, like he said, and he's trying to get them to practice hard because he feels practice is the majority of how we play. He's a very big practice person, and he said we got to teach our players how to practice. That's what he said in his first interview. What happens when you go out on the field and some of it still don't work and you lose? Do you change your culture and you just throw everything out the window and say, "Oh, we got to change now because we didn't win"? No, that's most how society is now. Soon as something goes wrong, we quit. We change the whole thing. I'm watching the basketball NBA playoffs. Soon as the team get eliminated, they talk about scrapping the whole team and to go to a whole nother. Coach got to go. We got to get rid of players. Guy need to leave and go someplace else. It's like we change the whole thing when we lose. Everybody's sorry. Everybody got to go. What happens when we go out there? What happens if we go out there and say, "Oh, he's at a great training camp. He's building a culture," and we go out and we lose to the Eagles? But we play a tough game, but just don't fall our way. Or we make some mistakes that we've been making before. Do we throw the culture away? Do we quit on the culture? Or is the culture being tested? Yes. Because it's the end result, not the beginning. That was a tough job because nobody's tougher job than this job is tougher than San Diego. The Los Angeles Chargers, where Harbaugh's at. Nobody's job is tougher than the Las Vegas Raiders, where Pete Carroll's at. Nobody's job is tougher than somewhere else in the NFL. Is because our expectations are overwhelming, and we so thirsty that we just keep thinking we can switch it up or get a player and that's going to fix it. So if Schottenheimer is trying to build what I think he's trying to do, he's going to be tested by players at some point, and he's going to be tested by situation. What happens with the culture when we go out there and we beat Philadelphia by 30 points? Is the culture still that we still work hard? Do we still go to practice like we're supposed to do? Do we still do the things that we've been doing to stay focused? Or do we go back to our old habits of saying, okay, we arrived, everybody's patting us on the back. We're stars now. We start talking about the Super Bowl. Then we lose to the Giants. Because see, this culture he's building, one thing about those 5 things I put up there for, have those in spades, and you'll be a consistent football team. Will you win every game? No. And let me go back to saying this. I said this the last time I talked about Those 5 things. And I'm going to say this again for a public service announcement. If you go out there and say, Coach says if you got these 5 basic culture things, you going to win a Super Bowl. Nope. That ain't guarantee you win a Super Bowl. But it's a very good chance that you're going to be in a team that they're going to contend and we're going to make the Super Bowl going to be, you're going to be a part of the answer of guys in contention for the Super Bowl. But I will guarantee you this. Don't have none of those things or have maybe one of those things. I bet you won't win no Super Bowl if you don't have those. Be an NFL team that ain't physical. Be an NFL team that has no discipline. Be an NFL team that got no mental toughness with this, with players playing just as good as you, pros. Be a team that ain't got no leadership or coaching. And be a team that ain't got no talent or your talent is hurt or you act like you don't know how to develop your talent. And I bet you won't win no Super Bowl. But it ain't no guarantee you're going to win it if you got those things. But you're going to put yourself in contention. So, and that's all you ask for every year, to be in contention. But this culture is going to be tested by the adversity and success because we have not handled those things well because our inconsistency, because we lack some of these things. If you go back to that video, it'll talk about it. If you looked at our team for the last 5 years, I gave the scouting reports of how a coaching staff comes in the room. There's some good stuff on that video. How a coaching staff comes in the room and talk about the next person, the next opponent in a good way, but points out all those things and points out, are they lacking in those things or are they good at those things? Check it out. Because I done had those same conversations when I had first game talks with my team, my coaching staff. As well as I've been on the other end when I coach head coaches come in and talk to us about those things. And I've been in the part when the coaches being a part of the player when the coach come talk to the players. And it all sets your mindset based off what that coach says, how you go out and how you prepare for that team and where your mindset is. And sometimes you have a mental advantage over the team because of what's been said. But Schottenheimer has to get in here, set the seeds, and then he got to water it. Now, who's going to water the seeds? Who's one of the people that are going to water the seeds? The first people going to water the seeds are your assistant coaches. These position coaches. Because they got to hear what Schottenheimer is trying to push for culture over and over again. When he hired him, he interviewed him, he tested those interviews to find out their culture. That don't mean we gonna do the things the same way. Coaches don't want guys that gonna do the same thing, the robots just like them. But they want like-minded people. Now, like-minded don't mean we exactly the same. Because you got some ideas that I may not like, but it might convince me, and I got my stuff that you might like. They might convince you. You cannot be rigid as a coach and say, but how we go about things, it got to be my way if I'm the head coach. Now, it might be a lot of ways to skin a cat. But when you look at that team, and you look at that team about their physicality, their discipline, their mental toughness, how our leadership runs, and how I evaluate talent, what I see in talent, and how I get it to perform, that guy looked like Schottenheimer. And when he wants it to get to the point where he say, when we see that, we say that's a Schottenheimer coach football team. Just like we say that's an Andy Reid coach football team. Just like we said that was a Jimmy Johnson type football team. They're a reflection of who they are. So if your team is out there, they unphysical, they don't have no mental toughness, they their discipline is here and there. They look like they don't have leadership. Their leadership is erratic at best. They can't handle adversity. They can't handle success. That's a reflection of who their head coach is. And sorry to say, that's who Mike McCarthy is. But is do Schottenheimer talks bad about Mike McCarthy? No. Because he has to fall in line with what his head coach is. That's a great assistant coach. That don't mean you dislike the guy. I had a head coach tell me one time, and before I got me a job, he said the best assistant coaches know how to be able to fall in line, because if you fall in line with the culture of how they're trying to run things, that's going to make it better for the team. But if it get to a point where you want to change the culture or change the essence of how we doing things, you got two choices as assistant coach: quit or get you a head coaching job. And that's the bottom line. So, because when it's all said and done, he's gonna be the person that stand in front of that room and that's why he got the AC on his head. Now we could talk about the Joneses. Listen, man, Joneses can say this and say that, but they don't stand in front of that room every day to talk to those guys. They might be in a couple of meetings, but they ain't in every meeting. They might be in a meeting briefing. They don't know the real essence. You might have to brief them. And believe you, like, what the stuff Joneses come out in interviews and talk about is what they've been told by coaches in their own coaches. They ain't come up with no saying that this was it. No, man. This is what they've been told. And they want to look like the football guys. Now I can say Jerry got a little bit more football accolade than Steven. Jerry know what it takes to win the championship. He know what Jimmy did. He understand it takes the grind. It takes a SOB coach in Dallas to get it done. And I hate to use that vernacular, but that's what it takes. He know that. I don't know why he messing around without it. So you gotta have an ego to be a head coach in Dallas. Yeah, you gotta be arrogant because you gotta be able to wade through all the other crazy stuff that nobody else have to go through. You ain't just competing with the Joneses. You compete with everybody, the total media and the rabid Cowboy fans that if you do something good, we'll put you over the top. And we'll say, hey man, you the best thing since slavery. It's a great thing, but it could be a curse. As great Nate Newt say, it's the greatest thing to be in with a Cowboy, but it could be a curse because it can get you off pattern quickly. That's why I say in Dallas, we have to work harder. Coaches have to be a lot more work harder. When other teams are not doing stuff, the Cowboys have to do it. Why? You say, because we're in a different setting and we have to keep the focus. People ask, and I keep going, and the reason I say this is because we say, you like, coach, um, why you keep going back to that? Because why if I come up with an analogy back to the Super Bowl or when Jimmy Johnson went to the Super Bowl, you were like, well, that was 30 years ago. But this is what I'm trying to get over to you is whatever the year was, 70s, the 60s, the 90s, 2000, today, whatever the media source was, and it was the biggest media source, the Dallas Cowboys was a part of it. If it was all newspaper, had all the newspaper articles. Dallas Cowboys, and this is not being arrogant, has always been seen and talked about relentlessly. They had crazy people like Harvey Barnes back in the 70s, parties, doing all this. But one thing about it, when it came to football, Tom Landry said, we practiced the hardest, we had the hardest training camp, and they didn't like him too much. But as they won and they got finished, they loved him. But they thought he was an a-hole. Yeah. When the Cowboys went to the Super Bowl the first time, they practiced in full pads at the Super Bowl. And guys actually talking about why the Buffalo was going in no pads, because they said why y'all going full pads? And guess what their response was? This is what we do all year. And you'll see why in the Super Bowl why we go full pads. And they were partying like crazy. You know the Cowboys back then, the White House, all kind of great. But when it came to football, they worked harder than everybody else, and it showed results. Andy Reid team has the toughest training camp, been documented for the toughest training camp in football. They've been in the Super Bowl, what, 3 straight years? 5 out of the last 7? That's how you keep your edge. Because everybody's pulling at you. So the assistant coaches going to have to water these seeds. They're going to have to get the trust of their players. They're going to have to be straight with them. They got to be what I call nice, nasty. Yeah, we got to be nice and get to know each other. But damn it, I want this job done, and I want it done right, and I want it done right now. And if you can't get the job done, next man up. I heard some people talking about Donovan Wilson might be gone. Know what? And I don't think Donovan should be gone. Hey, I'm have to trust my coaches in their eyes and what they want. Because if I don't trust them, what chances I got to win? If I think I can do it from the sideline and I don't trust them, I know it's a total failure. So somebody got to trust them. Now, when I see that they ain't got, I'm gonna point it out. But listen, Donald got the same problem every time. I love Donald, but he always got to be hurt and missing time. Now he on rehab. Now he might have had surgery, and that would make him have rehab, and he's not into the action because he might have had. I don't know. But this ain't the time to be missing. I got no tolerance of none of this young team missing time in action. No. Not when I'm trying to set something up. Here. And listen, I'm not waiting on no talent. Because the guys I practice, I can get them up to speed. And I've told y'all this, and a lot of y'all don't understand this. Check any other Super Bowl championship team. Go through that roster. I bet you will find 7 to 10 guys off that roster that people say that those players weren't going to be nothing that year before doing training camp. People say, oh, man, that guy ain't going to do nothing. And those guys had career years. The job of a coaching staff to get to a Super Bowl is have your team have career years. Now, does a career year mean you're going to be in the Pro Bowl or you're going to be an All-Pro? No. If it's your career year, that means the best year that you ever had. And it's better than the previous year. You get that collectively going on, and your stars have collective a little bit better year or whatever, you got a chance. Because take sacrifice and take the collective. But the seeds got to be watered by his coaching staff. Who else got to water the seeds? It got to be us, content creators, fans. It's got to be us. We don't put too much water on the seed because we rotten it. We put just enough water on it for it to continue to try to grow, to get to the opening and come out the ground. Case in point. Now you're finna shoot me down. George Pickens. Too much damn water we giving it. Come out, George, do your job. Be the talent that we think you are, which I know you are. But show me that you can do your job, because you're not a number one wide receiver. All that stuff that CeeDee Lamb talking about, well, there ain't no number one, that's a bunch of BS. Come out here, George, and do your job. That means if I need you to block for us to get a 70-yard run on every play, I need you to do that. Because guess what? Number 2 wide receivers block more than number 1s. Because the success of this team is going to get you paid. Let me say that again. The success of this team, George, is going to get you paid. You could catch 45 passes for 700 yards and get a big contract if we win the Super Bowl. You could catch 85 passes for 1,000 yards and we don't get in the playoffs and you still won't make as much money. Because guess what? They'll hold what happened in Pittsburgh over your head so you won't get paid. And that ain't just Cowboys. Everybody else will hold it. And they'll say you got to the team and you really wasn't an impact. And everything you did bad, they'll be jumping on you. But you can catch the ball 45 times for 600 yards and we win a Super Bowl and everybody else will be saying, hey, man, let's pay the guy $15, $17 million. Yeah, everybody going to eat. And if you stay in Dallas, you'll take a little less. That's right. Because it will be so much money, other money you're going to be making, and you're going to be in the mecca of football. And it's going to be given to you. It's the gift to keep on giving, because every Super Bowl champion, Cowboys that win Super Bowl, they still making money right now because the gift that keeps on giving. But do your job and fall in line. And just like I said, Schottenheimer should tell them we love you. We think you talented, welcome here. But I'm not taking none of that we took in Pittsburgh. They took in Pittsburgh. Because it might not have been all your fault, but some of it was. And in here, when I'm trying to build a culture, and we on this spotlight, because you ain't on the spotlight in Pittsburgh. Yes, they're big. Everybody like Pittsburgh, but their spotlight ain't nowhere close to ours. They run a 60 beam. We running a 500 beam mega light. I told you, Cowboys are the sun. We the sun. But when I say about watering, give it enough water for it to grow, but allow it to grow, allow it to flourish. But keep it humble. Yeah, it's on us. And I'm gonna give you my last case in point. Now I'm about to upset some other people because this is the other part. We talked about the culture. We talked about him building the culture, and this part of the culture too. And I hate to say it this way, man. I hope I don't get sensitive, but it's about this damn running game. This defensive running game that I keep hearing about because I still say defense is going to win us a championship. And Lou Takes out there, I hope he's still out there, man. He sent me an article, sent me a thing with Brian Bartlett and was on the show. And he talked about, he finally got to about the running game. He told, well, Brian should have been, me and Brian must have been talking. Because I've been seeing this for years. And I'm going to say it in this way. And I hope the people out here, so many people out here in the chat, man. I'm sorry, man, but I'm trying to get back. Hey, keep on chatting with each other, man. Keep on shooting them out. Man, y'all got some great comments out here. And I'm gonna learn how to put the comments on the bottom of the screen after a while. I hadn't got to that before, but I'm gonna learn. But hey, man. But listen, I want y'all to listen to this because y'all about to learn some real football stuff that what coaches really look at. The biggest misconception in football is when our teams are not good to run defense, that the defensive tackles are horrible. Biggest misconception. I'm going to get the stats for 4 years ago. The Eagles had Cox. They brought Sue in there. They had Joseph. And they still had problems stopping the run because their linebackers and their run fits and their safeties at that particular time was horrible. I've heard everybody talked about, when we talk about the run game, the first thing we are saying, give us a one tech, get DTs. But our run fits, our safety run fits in the run game, and our defensive end play are at times is some of the worst run things in football. And I don't see guys getting blowed over top of linebackers. I see linebackers, 2 years ago, I see linebackers not reacting. Last year, I saw linebackers that were young. I saw a linebacker last year, the old guy that came in from God, keep me in the names. Somebody in the chat, give me the name. But he was hurt. He kept being in and out, but he had over 100 tackles. But you can get tackles. But every year I keep hearing the same thing from my defense when the run thing be on the run thing. And I don't think we're listening. I did a whole show about stopping the run game. And the two things I said the main part about the run game, the why we couldn't stop the run game in Dallas is desire and determination. I just heard somebody a couple of days ago in Oceans talking about, and a guy, Murray, that this guy over here, he ain't playing a game for the Cowboys yet, talking about we're going to stop the run. Then I heard Oceans say stop the run. I don't hear from the gut of the rest of our defensive players. I hear from our Cowboy nation, and we think that if we don't change the mentality of teams that are not going to run on us, and we're going to bring one tackle here that's going to stop it. Shit. And the majority of the runs against us It's been documented. The majority of the runs against us is outside our tackles, from the outside the tackles outside. And that is squeeze and fits from your linebackers and your safeties. And listen, I got to have defensive ends that just ain't just trying to set an edge. They set the edge and make the damn play. There wasn't one person to do that for the Cowboys, and he didn't play much as last year. And if he would play more last year, we might have been better to run. And that was D. Lawrence. Everybody else trying to make sacks. But they ain't trying to get tackles in the backfield and run game. That's part of the game too. I'll wait. Tell me who the all-star tell me who the defensive tackles for the Green Bay Packers are, and tell me are they all-stars. Tell me who the big 900-pound one tech in Green Bay. Tell me if they're all-star. And then the top 5 in rushing defense for the last 2 or 3 years. You know why? Because their defense got a mentality to say, you're not going to make a living running the ball on us. Now, that said, I'm going to stop you from every yard you're going to get. You're going to be under 2 yards of carry, 1 yard of carry, 5 yards of carry, or you're going to be. No, you're not going to make a living running the ball against us. And it takes 11 guys to say, I'm going to stop the run. Now, we got defensive backs out there say, well, we ain't a part of the run. That's for the big guys up there. Tell me a team like that, and I bet you they can't stop the run. Because guess what? I'm going to focus my running game on the safeties and the corners. And if they don't come up to be hitters and to shut stuff down from 5-yard carries to 3-yard carries or 7-yard carries to 5-yard carries, we're going to keep pushing right at them. And we're going to make the big boys look stupid. When we shut San Francisco, do anybody remember when we played San Francisco and we shut their run game down? I think that was 21. They only had 100 and some yards rushing, but people say we shut them down. Yeah, we shut them down. Go back and look at that game and watch how our defensive backs and linebackers shut that run down. They was attacking the line of scrimmage. It wasn't no defensive lineman getting no tackles. Listen, defensive lineman, there's probably maybe one defensive tackle. And I think the guy, 2 years ago, he had 90 some, almost 100 tackles. Defensive linemen usually average around 50, 55 tackles. Your linebackers average over the 100. Your safeties average at that 100 mark. If they're aggressive, they can make 5-yard gains, 3-yard gains. This is all you want a defense to do. You want a run that may be a 5-yard gain. When we put the guy on the ground, he only get 3. When we put the guy on the ground, a run to get a hole, he might think he's going to get 10 yards, he only gets 7. Guess what that does? It deters the team of running the ball because they can't get big plays. What do we give up more on defense other than the running attack? If we want to improve our defense, damn it, stop giving up big plays. Because we are good at that. Kansas City won a Super Bowl when they won back-to-back. They gave up 5 plays in the whole year over 30 yards. Let me say that again. They gave up 5 plays over 30 yards, individual plays over 30 yards. That's when they won their second Super Bowl back-to-back. That stat alone is better than what Patrick Mahomes could do. We gave up 5 big plays over 30 yards against Green Bay last year in the game. In one game. And we're worried about if a guy get 1 or 2 yards. Henny Henny in the liquor store, man, I love him because he put out great content. I'm giving him a shout out. But Henny was doing a research on Twitter about defunking all these people talking about the Cowboys and Dak Prescott and about how the Cowboys run game and how we gave us so many run yards and how we didn't get too many run yards. But let's give it some context. I don't care about 113, 143 yards in the rushing. When I look at your carries, if it takes you 35 to 40 carries to get 140 yards, I'm good with that. And how you stop other teams from running the ball? Run the ball yourself. Think about this, fans. How many games you seen where two teams had teams that ran for over 100 yards, 200 yards? So usually whoever sets the physical tone and get their running game going, it alleviates the other team from running the ball because of the fact ain't much so much ticks in the clock. And then Henry brought up a good point about our running game, but we ain't had a back. But this is the key to that. We ain't had a running back, well, 2 running backs together in a playoff game that had 25 carries. I don't even think we got 25 carries if we talking about the running backs together in a playoff game yet. Because we looking for home runs with the running game. But singles and doubles turn into triples and home runs in the fourth quarter. The tree don't fall off one swing. And on the defensive end, we say we're not letting the team make a living on. And now I say this and that, and I know I'm gonna get shanked with the bullet. We got the best, one of the best. We got potentially the best defensive player in the NFL. Came here from college as a monster run-stopping linebacker. And damn it, I want him to be the best damn run-stopping defense in the league, as well as the best pass rusher. I want him to say that I have no weaknesses. Don't even run the ball here. And if you run the ball away from me, I'm going to run that 4-8. If you don't dedicate a person over here to block me or 2 people, I'm going to use 4-3 speed to chase everything down. I want you to say that Micah Parsons is going to affect every offensive play that you run. That's how much a dog you got to be. Dominate everything. Check my video on about that. New role, new expectations, how you dominate from the front. Yeah, Michael. So when they talk about stopping the run, I need to hear your voice first. I need to hear your voice say that nobody's going to make a living running on our defense. And you know that's going to permeate through the rest of this football team. I don't need to hear about, well, I need a 1 tech because then we got to get here and get it. Let me tell you what we're doing when we keep crying about a 1 tech. Let me tell you what we're doing. We're setting in excuses for the other 11 people to say, if they don't run the ball, well, you know, the Cowboys didn't give us a 1 tech. And that's the same excuse that we do when they hide behind Dak Prescott. You want a culture change? That's a culture change. We're not hiding behind no excuses, and we're gonna make it work. If I got 2 good 3 techniques, listen here. If I got the best 2 run defensive ends, I got one of the best run 3 techs. I got the 2 or 3 one of the best linebackers in the league at run defense. My safeties are killing that run defense. My corners are coming up. Damn a one tech, I'm still gonna shut the run down. Let me rotate guys in here. The only thing you got to do is just be strong. We're going to dominate the other parts. That's the mentality that's going to take the win. But they ain't going to take all these excuses, man. Because I don't like no receiver run take when I look at the stats and we can kill off the tackle. When I'm seeing quarterbacks getting runs, every quarterback we play is averaging 20 yards a carry because he's getting out the pocket. When I'm watching games and I'm seeing receivers on in around, everybody running in around, and we got receivers got 2 carries for 30, 40 yards. I ain't making this up. Check the film out. Y'all want to check the film out and do the edit, do the say, hey man, how many big plays we giving? And where are those big plays coming from? It takes 11 guys to be brought in and invested, not with just desire, but determination. I told you what desire and determination mean. Everybody talking about it. All the people talking about they got a desire to stop the run. But tell me who determined. That's come from the heart. That's desire in the mind, yeah. But when it gets tough, when you're playing against the Eagles and they gonna continue to run Saquon Barkley 40 times, you done shut them down 25, 30 times, and they still gonna give him the football. You invested to continue to make sure he don't get that home run? Or you gonna get mad because you want to get at the passer and allow him to bust a run for 40? And then we come back and say, you know something, we don't have a one tech. We can't stop the run. And they don't even attack the middle. Go back to the Buffalo game. We want to talk about we gave up 200 yards and watch. I will guarantee you out of 200 yards, maybe 30 of them came up the middle. But they say you got safeties not feeling. You got defensive ends that saying, well, don't give me about this. Well, you know something. And they ran every time, wherever DeMarcus Lawrence lined up, they ran the opposite goddamn direction. Because you got, and this is not no indictment on nobody. This is saying, hey, I know you got it in you. But I'm not going to give you no excuse to let us go someplace else. Because you're going to get what you want if you get the basics and you shut the. If we make teams say it's not going to be a living runner and we put our main focus and our mind on that, we're going to get what we want. We're going to get interceptions. We're going to get sacks. But it takes 11. And it takes what I have said again, and I'm about to close on it. It goes right back to what I was saying it takes. It takes this right here, people. I hope y'all can see what I got over here. It takes physicality, discipline, mental toughness, coaching and leadership, and talent. And it takes all those in spades. and we got those in spades, we could be a championship football team. But we got to stop hiding behind excuses of Dak Prescott. When is this team going to win a championship? Tom Brady didn't have. The New England Patriots didn't hide behind Tom Brady. Their defense said we can win a championship. Kansas City don't hide behind Patrick Mahomes. This guy's building the culture, but let's be patient. The seeds are set. Now it's time for these assistant coaches to water these seeds. And now it's time for us to get behind Schottenheimer and these coaching staff and get out of our feelings about who is this and who is that. And if he gets off a boat on somebody, we got to trust him and roll with it. So, and it's about balance. We're going to have to use everybody on this offense. You mean tell me you got a guy that's explosive as Turpin, and we're not gonna utilize him to get something? This guy Blue that they got from Texas. He one of his greatest assets is catching the ball like Tony Pollard with his speed. Y'all see what that the Span guy, the tight end guy, they saying he catching the ball better in training camp, his size, along with Ferguson, if we could keep him healthy. The reason why Ferguson, his targets went down because he was not healthy. Don't we see all that? So how you feel George Pickens gonna get explosive numbers? He on a team that got weapons. They got talent. One thing he got to do is fit in to do his part when it's called. But if we keep talking about numbers, if we even keep on talking about what his contract gonna be, we dumping a bucket of water and drowning out the seed. It ain't gonna even grow. So let's let the man put his culture in. I see what he's doing. I'm liking it so far. And guess what? And I'm gonna leave with this. One thing he has not talked about, and one thing his assistant coaches talked about. You heard all his new assistant coaches talk. Now, like I said, coach, I listen, coach, listen, because I pick up on certain things. A lot of people don't pick up on. Same thing. Boss Cowboy does the same thing too. And pick up and Lou, and a lot of people pick up on a lot of stuff. But pick up on stuff. One thing is keep echoing from all his assistant coaches, the ones that's coming in here from the new places. And all of them are saying, man, there's a lot of talent over here. Yeah. You cannot tell me this coaching staff and even Schottenheimer, this coaching staff, look at this talent and said this talent has been underachieving. And I bet you they also say this team is soft and not mentally tough at all. Yeah. Yes. If Lucy's still out there, yes. They're talking about playing multiple defensive linemen in the run game. I mean, in this it's this scheme. This is not nothing that happened new. This is going back to what Dan Quinn did. Dan Quinn played multiple linemen, a lot of different linemen. And guess what? Take some games here and there out. They was particularly okay with against the run, but they gave up too many big plays to me. I'm gonna keep talking about defense, but I'm gonna have me some video. We're gonna start talking about this run game as well. We're gonna start talking about this run game. It's the same thing as a mentality type thing. But we're gonna talk about that on a later date about the next video that I'm gonna come out. The next live I'm gonna come out is about talking about what rhythm means. What's your rhythm? And I leave you to think about it in this terms, and then you'll know what coaches kind of think about what coach is gonna come out with his next thing about. Think about yourself, Cowboy Nation, people out there in the chat. When you get up in the morning, there's a routine you do to get your engine started so you can have a productive day. That's how you get your rhythm going. With football teams and offenses, got to do some of the same thing to get their mojo going. And then individual players have some of the things they have to do to get them going. Because you get people in rhythm, they perform better. But let's let Schottenheimer cook and putting this culture together. He's working on these things. But again, I will say it again. Big Time Show is in the chat. A lot of other people in the chat that I've talked on the show. You know what coach is going to say about training camp. I've seen some changes in mini camp. I've seen that if I don't see changes in training camp, I'm going to be very skeptical. But if there's some changes in how we prepare, I could see some good things coming out of that. But remember, people, this culture is going to be tested. It's going to be tested by players, and it's going to be tested by situations. And then after it gets set, we're not even talking about culture because it's already going to be in place, like Michael Irvin said. But it's going to be tested. And we're going to find out there's going to be some players on this team that either not built for the change or not going to accept the change. But we're going to be all right because we got a good start going, and let's keep the momentum going, and let's be patient. I want to go out and shout out, man, Lewis, um, all these guys, man. Lewis, you was all in the chat, man. Big time show in here. Lewis in here. Holly, yeah, man. Holly, man. Hey, man, listen here. I'm just a old football coach, a guy that don't know nothing about media, nothing about this crazy stuff, man. I learned how to share stuff on this platform. I learned how to put little things, little logo, this, that. I'm learning as on the go. I am a work in progress, learning on the go, but I feel passionate about what I talk about. You're not gonna hear a lot of crazy stuff about me with a lot of into. I'm gonna give it to you straight with no Novocaine, and I can. In the past, like I would say, you're gonna see stuff gonna come true, and they're gonna say, "Dog, coach said that," you know. And I hope my phrases get out there. I hope this phrase get out there. Those who sweat more in peace bleed less in war. So training camp is what I really want to see. But I thank y'all so much for being in the chat. Well, like I always say, man, like, comment, and subscribe. If you have, I'm trying to make sure that I've got stuff in the get all the equipment I'm trying to get. Trying to get some get some equipment here, man. Um, I wish I can uh, get some new stuff, but um, I had my cash app. I don't have my cash app, but if um, uh, I ain't put it in there, but I'll put it up next time. But $PBS 222, $PBS 222, P as in Paul, B as in boy, S as in Sam, and it could be Phi Beta Sigma 222. So if y'all PBS 222, that's my cash app, man. If y'all want to send some out to man to help me support the uplift of this channel, man. I did get a cash app on the last show, or someone did send some I did watch my video, and I appreciate it, man, because I went to me getting some other stuff to get some together and try to have some time to do that. But like I said, $PBS 222. Um, that's my cash app. You want to send a donation to support the nation. But what I really would love you to do, always like, comment, and subscribe. Please like this. Please share this on your platforms. And when you share it, put your feelings about the show in there so people know why you sharing this. Because they know why you sharing this, because how it uplifts you, and how you visualize, how you were listening, and how it helped you out. But remember, Cowboys, 11. It's going to be us together. We're going to do it. We're going to be determined. We're going to have desire and determination as fan base to get to the six. As for the show, I thank you so much again, and we'll see each other the next time. Salute.